Hi, this is Alex from PHP Academy, and welcome to this CSS tutorial on border images. We're going to be creating a basic element in this tutorial, and we're going to be applying a border to this, but we're going to apply a border image. First of all, I'm going to discuss why border images are useful, and why it has been implemented in CSS. Now, you can see at the moment I've got an example of an image up which represents a border. Don't worry too much about the numbers just yet. That's just so we can keep track of certain things later on in the video. If I was to say, if I was to have a more complex border than this, we might have, some kind of graphics around the outside. Obviously, we could achieve this this rounded corner effect with border radius in CSS. But again, this is just for an example. Now, what we would have to do in our markup is, we would have to create, for example, first of all, a container. So we may have to say, div id equals container. Now, if we wanted an image as the border, we may have to either set a sort of div, a left and a right, and a bottom div, and then add the border around that. We may have to set a background image to this container, and then within this we may have to create another container, and still then we have the content within the container. We want to create a border with an image. And as an example, we're going to be using this, which is, an extremely basic example of a border graphic. So let's go ahead and we'll just stick with our container. I'm not going to place anything else inside the container, no text or anything. But we'll go ahead and style up our container, and then we'll apply this border image. So let's say container. Let's go ahead and give it a width. We'll say 200. We'll also give it a height of 200. And we'll give it a background color as well, so we can see what we're doing with it. So a grey color. Okay, so we've got this. Well, let's go ahead and start to look at the border image property, and also the border width property as well, because we want to be able to specify how wide we want our border to be for the image to sit inside that. And then we'll start taking a look at actually applying this border, and different values we can use to slice, and different repeat values as well. So first of all, let's go ahead and load this image in. So I use the border image property, and it works the same as like a background image property, but it's a border image, so we do exactly the same thing. I have this image within my my images folder, and it's just called border.png. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, and we'll see what happens when I refresh. You can see that we've got this fuzz around the outside. Well, one of the reasons for this is that we haven't set a border width. So we can go ahead and set a border width to this, and we'll be able to see a lot more of the graphic, but it's still not complete. We still need to give this border image, this shorthand border image property, some extra values. There are the longhand of these. I'm not going to go through each one because it will waste time. The key here is to actually implement this effect. If you want to go ahead and look at the shorthand properties, go and research that. So border width, we just specify a value. So I could say 20 pixels, something like that. I'm going to use 20 pixels anyway for now. So when I refresh, you see that we've got this. Now you can see, and this is interesting to point out, that we've got a corner just here, and that is actually showing the border, the image that we're passing through here, and the same with each corner as well. And we've also got this left hand, this top, right hand, and bottom showing the background image as well. So we've got 8 instances of our background image being applied to this border. Obviously, at the moment, we're not achieving the effect that we need. This looks a bit silly, and it's almost like it's unexpected behavior. Now, the reason it does this is that when you use the border image property, you have 4 corners, which will automatically fill with however you slice the top, left, right, and bottom and however you pass values through to that. So we don't need to worry about setting these to, part of this image. It'll automatically do that for you. But at the moment, by default, it's just placed, the entire image inside of this corner, this corner, this corner, this corner, and the same with the left and right as well. So we need to scale and sort of crop the background image. It sounds harder than it actually is, but we're going to do this within the browser because it'll be a waste of time specifying any more values within our text editor. So if we right-click on our element and click Inspect, we can go ahead and get access to our properties here. You should have seen this before. So we're going to go ahead and start to modify this. Well, after here, we can specify 4 different values to sort of crop, if you like, our background border to our border. So, for example, if I was to say 50, 50, 50, 50, you can already see that has, or I could just do 50, 50, that has automatically cropped this. I can even do 50, which will apply it to all values. So it's the same as, I don't know, background image where you would set a position. We're not using measurement values here because of sort of SVG reasons. I'm not going to get into that. But if I was to just say 50, then that's scaled that to the edges, and you can see that we've got the 1, 2, and 3 behind there. Let me just go ahead and increase the size of this. In fact, no, we'll leave that. It's fine. So we've got this here. Obviously, we can go ahead and increase this, and it will, show more of that. We're essentially just scaling this, through the each side, and you see that the corners are picking up on this scale as well, and we're not getting the effect that we saw first. So let's go ahead and we'll set this to, I don't know, 60. It's a bit skewed, but it doesn't really matter, or a bit messed up. It doesn't really matter. Now we can pass a repeat value to this. So for example, if we said repeat, we've got this repeating now. So you can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then we're missing one here. And we can also supply the values round and stretch. So let's go ahead and try this out now. We'll say round. You'll notice that, well, let's go ahead and do round stretch. When I increase the width of this container, so let's just increase the width, you can see that what's happening is the background is tiling horizontally, but vertically, it's staying the same. So if I was to just do stretch, you can see that has stretched the border out, and it hasn't tiled it. And obviously we can go ahead and pass repeat to this, and we get more or less the same effect. So I could say 60, 50, or 60, 10, and that would, you'd achieve this effect because we're scaling it differently on the left and the right. Remember, this value represents the left and the right, or east and west, and this represents north and south. We could scale this 100, say this way, and then 20 this way. And you can fiddle around with this. It's a brilliant thing to fiddle around with, but this is why we're doing it within the browser, because we can scale, we can repeat, we can set the border width to our requirements, and we don't have to fiddle around too much within our file. So we're actually saving a lot of time as well. So this is the CSS border image property. You can see how it is a lot more useful than creating any more markup within our page. All we've done is we've created one main container, and then we essentially apply this value, and we can fiddle around with it inside until we've got the effect that we need. And obviously I'm just using an image that I've knocked up with some rounded corners. Obviously we can use border radius to do this, as I said at the start of the tutorial, but with a lot more, advanced borders, you may have a nice border that you want to load in. This is absolutely brilliant, and again, you can go ahead and you can scale that border as well, and it'll make it, sit nicely instead of stretching it out. As we've seen, we can set different repeats there. So that's CSS border image. And its different properties.